Welcome back to On the Rise, the latest Canadian men's national team news, and we saw 4 Canadians take to the pitch today and all start for their respective club sides, with 2 of them coming in the English Championship and 2 of them in the Champions League. And we're here to break down all of the Canadian performances throughout the day, and we're going to kick it off and start in the Champions League with Eustaquio's FC Porto side, where FC Porto absolutely walked through Shakhtar Donetsk as they took a 3-1 away victory in Ukraine, as Galeno had 2 early goals in the 8th and the 15th minute, as Mehdi Taremi rounded it off, getting the 3rd goal in the 29th minute, and from there it was smooth sailing for Eustaquio's FC Porto side, who are currently leading Liga Norte and topping the Portuguese First Division. But it just doesn't go there with the goal scorer. Eustaquio was absolutely excellent. It was a Eustaquio excellent performance today, guys, as it was immaculate. Eustaquio went 90 minutes. It was no assist. There was no goal contribution, but he was phenomenal. Going the 90 minutes and by far being the best central midfielder on the pitch, whether it's for Shakhtar Donetsk or FC Porto, Eustaquio showed his true class and brilliance once again on the football pitch and proving himself when he's gotten the chance. And this is what all Canadian players need to continue to do. We've seen it from time to time with some players. Millar is a great example of that, but Eustaquio went and shined in the biggest competition in world football and in world sports in the Champions League. And it was in a very energetic crowd, a unbelievable fan base in Shakhtar Donetsk, and he wasn't scared. He didn't shy away, having a 7.4 match rating for Eustaquio, and this was a great performance from him, going the full 90 minutes and having 2 shots on target as well. But that's not what truly shines. He managed to have 61 touches with a 92% accurate passing, which has 47 out of 51 passes, which is truly phenomenal from a central midfielder who's playing box to box in a game that they're, yes, winning and smooth sailing, but when you have to keep that ball nice and tidy, Eustaquio managed to do that. Having 92% accurate passing is phenomenal from a central midfielder away at Shakhtar in a huge match to kick off the Champions League for FC Porto. And he did not just do that with passing or having touches throughout the match. He had 3 passes into the final third, which is of course in that final third of the pitch, creating chances in the Shakhtar Donetsk half, and of course, like I said, the final third of the box, having 100% accurate long balls. He didn't just hit 1, he hit 2, guys, as well as this. His defensive stats were remarkable, having 6 defensive actions, 2 interceptions, 2 recoveries, 1 clearance, and 100% tackles won. And he didn't just go 1 for 1 or 2 for 2. He went 3 for 3 tackles won on the pitch. And this is no push around Shakhtar Donetsk side. They're walking through the Ukraine division, of course. That is no easy task, but it still isn't the hardest thing to do in the world. But this Shakhtar Donetsk side always leave a mark in Europe. They're always a decent European side, and they're never a pushover. And Eustaquio showed his true brilliance tonight, winning 4 tackles, 4 duels won as well. He won a foul. Eustaquio was all over the pitch. His midfield partner in Varela was a 6.7 this match, and he was truly phenomenal, Eustaquio. What you're getting from Eustaquio is consistency, and he always proves it on the biggest of stages. This was still, of course, a match that FC Porto were still supposed to win, albeit on the road. In Shakhtar, in a very hostile crowd, a great stadium, electric atmosphere, they were still supposed to win this. Don't get me wrong, FC Porto are a phenomenal side, but going on the road to a side like that is still a difficult task. No matter if you're winning Liga Norte, if you're winning the Premier League, if you're having a great run in any of the top 5 leagues, winning away at any side in Europe is phenomenal. These sides are never a pushover, especially Shakhtar. They've never really been a pushover within Europe. And FC Porto, who are doing phenomenal in Liga Norte, managed to walk all over Shakhtar Donetsk and had a great performance here today. Controlled the ball with 54% possession, had a 1.87 XG, as well as 13 total shots, and even missing 1 big chance. And they're in a very interesting group as well. So the more points they can pick up early on, the better. They're arguably the second best side in this group behind FC Barcelona, who of course beat Royal Antwerp 5-0 today, guys. So this is a great win for FC Porto and Eustaquio to kick off their Champions League campaign. But we're moving on to another Canadian who got his debut in Europe and in the Champions League, in Alistair Johnston for Celtic. And Celtic had a horrible day at the office. It was never going to be an easy task traveling to Feyenoord, traveling, of course, to Holland, to Rotterdam, to the capital, to a huge stadium, an unbelievable atmosphere, to playing the Dutch champions with some phenomenal players of Calvin Stengs, Pusios, the likes of Quentin Timber. It's a phenomenal side that Feyenoord have. But the way Celtic played that second half was absolutely abysmal. You can't argue about that penalty. In fact, they got that second yellow one that got a red for the Swedish center back who had his debut today, which was absolutely atrocious. And you can't argue about that disgusting tackle that was made late on against Celtic. And they deservedly lost this game 2-0 to the reigning Dutch champions in Feyenoord. But that is no disrespect to what Alistair Johnston did on the pitch. Alistair Johnston finished this match on a 6.7 match rating. Yes, you're going to be saying that's not amazing, but it's his Champions League debut. He's playing in a very much changed and chopped up back four for Celtic. And he by far was arguably the best player on the pitch for Celtic Football Club today. Yes, it's not a high bar, that's not a big standard to what they did and how they played, because they were so poor in that second half after looking very positive in that first half against Feyenoord. Albeit there was that unbelievable free kick from Calvin Stengs in that first half against Joe Hart. But Alistair Johnston still had a very good debut, albeit 2 red cards against Celtic, albeit losing 2-0 in the Champions League. But when you're playing this Celtic side who hasn't won in the Champions League since 2017, you're always going to be up against it as a defender. And Alistair Johnston still finished with a 6.7 match rating, the second highest in this Celtic side, behind the likes of O'Reilly in midfield, who had a 7.4. Alistair Johnston's back line finished on a 4.8, a red card, a 6.1 in Scales, and a 6.4 in Taylor. Alistair Johnston beat anyone in that back line by 0.3. That might not sound like a lot, but he is still close to having a very decent game. And defensively, watching this game, Alistair Johnston still played very well. Looking at this game, Alistair Johnston went the full 90, having 70 touches as well as a 70% passing accuracy, 30 for 43. Moving on, he had a 100% successful dribble rate, but also had 7 passes into the final third, always looking to move the ball forward and make something happen. As well as that, he had 1 block, 3 clearances, 3 headed clearances, 1 interception, 6 recoveries, and 12 defensive actions, but also winning 9 duels, 75%, and getting fouled 3 times. Alistair Johnston still had a very good game, not a great game, not a brilliant game, not a phenomenal game, a very good game for a defender that was playing with his debut in the Champions League, up against it in Rotterdam, away against the Dutch champions, and his side having 2 red cards. You couldn't have asked for much better from Alistair Johnston today, and he still had a very good performance. Although they did lose 2-0 in a row, they looked exciting in the first half, but just couldn't get anything going, Celtic, and hopefully in this group they can start to pick up points, and it would be just amazing to see Celtic win their first game in the Champions League group stage since 2017. But moving away from the Champions League to the English Championship, to Preston North End, Liam Millar's side, who are now back where they belong at the top of the English Championship with 19 points, and they are on a flyer as they won 2-1 in the final result over Birmingham City. And Liam Millar was back at left midfield in a 3-4-3 system, and he finishes this match with a 7.1 match rating. I won't lie, I didn't see a lot of this match due to watching Stefan Eustaquio with FC Porto and the likes of Alistair Johnston in the Champions League's debut, which I'll have to go try and find somewhere to watch Liam Millar play, or at least the highlights again from this. But what Liam Millar brings you, and his debut he had for Preston North End, was immaculate. One of the best debuts you'll see. But going back at it and having a 7.1 match rating, playing at left mid, going back out there, having another strong performance in a win for Preston North End. It's huge. He's building up so much fan characteristics. He's building up a likelihood from these fans. They're absolutely falling in love with our Canadian star, Liam Millar. He's a player I've always been so high on within the Canadian fan base and deserves so much more praise. And the fact that he is joined this team, who are now in first place in the English Championship, one of the hardest leagues in world football, sitting a 1 point above Ipswich Town. And you also have another Canadian doing great in the Championship, which I will talk about in just a second. It's just amazing to see. Liam Millar has just done brilliant things by making this loan move to Preston North End, and I very much hope he stays there. Whether it's a permanent deal, whether someone sees him at a bigger club in the likes of maybe a Premier League side, but I want to see him stay at Preston North End. This side is going to win the Championship. They got so much going for them. They're such an amazing and exciting side that nobody probably would have predicted to win the league. Everyone's probably focused on Leicester. They're probably focused on Leeds or Southampton. But the way Preston North End have shot out of the gates looks phenomenal. And I am absolutely here for it as a Canadian footballing fan, as Liam Millar finished this match on a 7.1 match rating, guys. Going accurate passes, 6 for 6, 100%, only making 6 passes throughout the 90s, which is pretty low, but he only did get 31 touches. He also did manage 50% of his dribbles, going 1 for 2, and having 1 pass into the final third. But defensively, no matter what you get from Liam Millar, he is always going to work his absolute socks off at his best, as he finished this match on 5 defensive actions, 4 recoveries, 1 interception, a clearance, 1 headed clearance, and 100% tackles won, and also winning his side a foul. Liam Millar got his side and helped his side in Preston North End to a 2-1 victory over Birmingham City, and moving on to the last match of the day in Ugbo. Ugbo's side, Cardiff City, are marching in the Championship just like Liam Millar, and they're moving on up the table. After taking a 3-2 victory over Coventry City today, Ugbo finished this match on a 6.7 match rating, going 71 minutes, and didn't get the most touches, so it's very hard to judge on how he did do today. A striker's performance and a number 9's performance can be very much judged on the amount of touches they get and the chances they are given. And he did miss 1 big chance. I do have to go back and watch that over. But when you're only given 19 touches, it's very hard to strive and to perform at your best as a number 9, as a striker who is relied on getting good delivery, who's relied on good productivity. And when you're not given the ball, when you're not delivered the ball, it is hard for a striker to put the ball in the back of the net. So Ugbo finished on a 6.7 match rating, going 71 minutes. The most important thing here is not that he didn't have a greatest game, but that Cardiff City are back up the table, and they are marching, as they're now on 10 points, tied with Sunderland, and they're swiftly moving up the table to join Liam Millar, and hopefully they can get into that playoff side and that playoff push this season. Guys, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section about my daily player breakdown videos are back once again. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about them, and drop a comment down below on what you guys thought of Alistair Johnston's debut in the Champions League, Eustaquio's excellent performance, as well as our boys in the Championship. Hit that like button, drop a sub, as we are so close to 200, guys. I'd love to hit it by the end of the week as well. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.